Product reviews are getting kind of weird, huh? We're reviewing a Bionic hand today. So this thing right here is called the Bionic Ability Hand. And it is an incredibly cool, incredibly niche, and incredibly helpful piece of technology. It is specifically a carbon fiber and metal motorized articulating hand that attaches to prosthetics for people who have lost their hand or don't have a hand to regain as much functionality as possible. It's Bluetooth connected, it has its own app, it's incredibly durable, it's waterproof, and it's cheap enough to be fully covered by Medicare. So you might remember a few months ago that video that I did with 3D Pets, which was 3D printed prosthetics for animals that made a huge difference in quality of life, just with some simple structures to help their joints even out and make it relatively easy to print another one if the animal changed in size or something. Well, I'd say this is the opposite end of the technological spectrum. Now, obviously, I have two hands, so you might be wondering how I'm going to review this bionic hand. Great question. There's actually two ways that I can show you how this works. One is pretty straightforward. The other is a little more interesting. So the first way is with this control stick right here. It's pretty simple, actually. The hand, which normally connects to a prosthetic, connects to the control stick, locks into place very satisfyingly, and now it's connected to a battery and some buttons. There's also some ports down here, and most importantly, this button at the bottom here turns it on, and once it initializes, does this little finger wag, and it's now alive. And so users of the Ability Hand will be able to set different series of grips in a row as defaults, like daily grips, or exercise grips, or dining grips. But of course, the target demographic for this as a product is not going to be using these buttons to open and close the hand. Which brings me to my second way of controlling the Ability Hand, which is EMG. So I've tested a few kinds of EMG tech on this channel, most recently Meta's prototype AR glasses. They had this wristband with a bunch of sensors inside that measured the electrical signals that my brain's sending through my nerves. This is using that same technology. So for actual customers missing a hand and looking to replace as much of that functionality as possible, this is how they'll open and close the hand. Essentially, they'll have a prosthetic, a connection to their arm with EMG, and then the hand will connect to the end of it. So what I do here is I put the hand on the end of this demo prosthetic. A regular prosthetic would be much smaller, but this is so I can put my hand inside. And on my arm, I'm going to attach these sensors to two spots that they've advised me are the best for measuring that electrical signal. So now what you're seeing is I've got the two EMG sensors hooked up on my skin. I've taped them on to roughly the right positions based on what they've told me. And you only need to because, as you can see in the app, it's measuring the delta between the two signals. And that's the difference between opening and closing the grip. So now, if I flex just the right way and send the signals just the right way, it will actually close into a grip. And I have in the app a cycle of different grips that it can actually go through based on, like I said, what situation I'm in. So if I open again and then open again, it's ready to move to the next grip, which I think is like that. And then if I open again and again, I'm ready to do the peace sign, which I think is like that. Nice. There's a lot of concentration on this. Nice. So this is the closest that I and fully limbed people can get to controlling this bionic hand with their brain. It's a lot of fun. Actually, there's also haptic feedback. So if I put my hand in this, there's actually a vibration motor where I can feel when I've closed my hand on something, which is pretty cool. Either way, technology is strong, but the flesh is weak. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace.